go to New Delhi now. It's January 2009. It's the Parsnath Open. Playing white in this game is an Indian player called Premnath. He's graded 2300. And playing black is the international master Martain Rajendran Venkatesh. And this opening is of interest, actually. Bishop g5 and black plays h6. A lot of strong players will play this move against you. And whilst bishop takes f6 is good, and I will be recommending it a little bit later on, bishop h4 is a decent alternative as well. And that's the move Premnath employs here, rather than get involved in any sort of theoretical debate. Because there's a lot of theory which is accumulated on bishop takes f6. Fortunately, I'll be showing you a way to steer a way around that effective way shortly. Bishop h4 is a decent enough move, and it just challenges black to play a game of chess. Now, whilst that might seem like a facetious remark, it's often quite a good idea to take the game slightly off-piste, if you like, when you're playing somebody much stronger than you are, and to aim for an unclear position which they might not have studied, a position which gives you basically winning chances, and that's exactly the tactic that Premnath employs here. He gives back the opportunity to snatch a couple of pawns in the opening. Black is very greedy. White accelerates his development, and now it's a question of how he gets onto the attack. Let's face it, white is 170 points lower rated than his opponent. Statistics would tend to suggest that he is favourite to lose this game, and the very best way to play in a game where you're not the favourite and where you're heavily outgraded is to attack and create unclear complications. That is actually your best chance to win. And actually, if you want a draw, you could offer a draw from a position of strength in a very unclear situation where the guy is a bit afraid and he might make a mistake, so he takes your draw. Well, that's exactly what happens here. White has raced ahead in development. The game is very unclear. White takes on f6, bishop takes f6, and now he follows up with d5. So after 11 moves, white has a pretty decent initiative here, and black is hard pressed to beat the attack back. Okay, black played knight b4. I guess he doesn't play knight e5 due to the simple move knight takes e5, f takes e5, and now d takes e6. And whichever way black recaptures, his king is going to get hassled. For instance, if he recaptures with the d pawn, we have bishop b5 check. If he recaptures with the f pawn, we have queen h5 check. Either way, black's king is getting into trouble. So Venkatesh plays knight b4, that's fair enough, and now white plays his knight up to e4. So all very well and good saying black is a couple of pawns ahead here, but he's hardly got any pieces developed, and he's having to defend himself against a ferocious white attack. Well, no doubt after some thought, Venkatesh decided to play f5. That's a rather unhappy move from where I'm sitting, but the problem with d6, the problem with bishop e7 in this position is that it's running into d6. It may also run into d takes e6 and then knight d6 check. This could also be very dangerous. After bishop e7, I don't know which one I prefer, but I think probably d6 is a more awkward move for black to meet. And then after bishop d8, which is probably the only move, white still has this very strong attack. Going back to knight e4, if black plays bishop g7, of course, he runs slap bang into knight d6 check, after which his king is displaced. So that's why Venkatesh plays f5 in the game, but you have to say it looks very risky after knight f6 check, king e7, and then the splendid move d6 check, which introduces a very unclear and quite unusual combination. White's point is that when black takes the knight, as he must, white is proceeding in spectacular fashion with rook takes b4. And the idea of this is to get the white queen onto the long diagonal as quickly as possible. Now in the game, black played an amazing move, rook to g8. I was gobsmacked when I first saw this move. I thought, well, hang on a minute, hasn't he got to take the rook? But the fact is, if he takes with the queen on b4, white has queen a1 check, which is very damaging, skewering the king to the rook. And if black captures with the pawn, which you would think was going to be okay for him after queen d4 check e5, white then has queen h4 check with an ongoing and very strong initiative. So black didn't like that. He played rook g8 in the game. White went rook b5, hastily no doubt, and after queen a6, white decided to open up the game completely by playing e4. I mean, after all, when all your opponent's pieces are on the back rank, it makes perfect sense to get the game wide open. And despite the fact black is able to take this pawn, white just plays knight d2, and he has several threats. He's threatening to get the knight in the game. The queen is coming out to h5 perhaps. There's f3 in the wings. The black king is in real trouble. Bishop takes d6 happened. Knight takes e4 check, and black played king e7. The only move to protect the bishop on d6. Then came queen h5, queen to c6, queen h4 check, king f8. I'm sure black would have liked to have played some other move, but really there's nothing available which is anything like as good. Queen takes h6 check, rook g7, and now white pauses for a moment with rook e1. Essentially, white wants to augment his attack here by introducing one of the rooks into the game. So either white's thinking of retreating his rook to b3 and then putting it across to either f3 or h3, or the other rook can come up to e3 with similar designs. Bishop e7, rook b3. Okay, that was the choice. e5, queen h8 check. No exchange of queens today. Queen takes e5. Black is completely routed in this position. Queen h6, and white swung his rook across to f3, which was the last move of the game. I have no doubt whatsoever black was heartily sick of looking at his position, so he decided to resign. So the Torre attack as a conveyor of unclear complications. It just shows you that in certain lines of the Torre, white can whip up a really ferocious attack if black is greedy or if he oversteps the mark. Basically, Venkatesh's pawn grab in the opening may well be okay if you're a computer, but as a human being, over the board, it proved very difficult to defend black's position.